Well, we're back working on this rooster. I showed you a picture of the full painting. I've done the background. Now I'm going to work on the rooster's comb and his beak. So I'm using mixtures of my cadmium red deep plus a little bit of magenta, and I make even that mixture is not quite dark enough, so I'm making a little bit darker mixture. I originally did an oil wash sketch of him up on the canvas. I showed a video of doing that, part of it. And now this underwash is dry. His comb I had washed in with alizarin crimson plus liquid, and just to give me a good deep red. And then if I painting his comb, if I don't get something covered entirely, I've got that red underwash. That gives it just a nice luminosity. I use several reference photos. I really don't have exactly the one picture of a rooster that's exactly what I wanted, so I'm using several pictures. Roosters are fun. When we've lived in the Hawaiian Islands 3 different times, and they have roosters. When you get away from the cities and out into the country, roosters and chickens run wild. They're called moas. And so we always loved traveling around the countryside. You know, hear them crowing and come around the corner on the road and come across a rooster and chicken or hen and some chicks, and just a lot of fun. I just love the roosters. They're just, love their attitude. This is a commission I'm doing for a lady that just purchased 3 others of my paintings, and she said, I also want Mikki to do me a commission of a rooster. And I want him to have a real colorful tail, and other than that, she's free to go. The background on this is mixtures of phthalo blue plus white. As I get nearer the grass, you can go back and look at that first shot that I showed you. Nearer down to the grass, I've added a little bit of dioxazine purple into that mixture. And then the grass is mixes of phthalo blue plus cadmium orange plus white. And I put quite a bit of phthalo blue into that because I wanted the grass to be cool. The colors on the rooster are going to be very warm, hot. So I want them to pop forward. And I have, if you notice, looking at that picture of the full painting, the transition between the grass and the background, the blue sky, is very, very soft. I don't want your eye to go to that area, so I just kept that very, very soft. The rooster's the star of the show, so we're not going to take away from him. We want these hot, warm colors on the rooster to just glow. So all that coolness around him will just make him appear even brighter. And phthalo blue has a little bit of, goes toward the greenish side, so that green and red are complementary colors, so that makes the red appear even brighter. And I have my reference on the laptop next to me. That way I can refer to it, and just makes it very easy to look at my reference. In fact, I'm pulling up another picture right now. I have was one I saw as I was flipping through. I have one that has really good light on the comb. Now I'm going to take a mixture of my cadmium red light plus a little bit of white in it. And I'm going to just highlight this comb in here. The sunlight is coming in from the upper left. You can see how I use the flat edge of this bright brush to put those highlights on. And that has a square tip, and I find that brush to be very, very versatile. I just love digital images for reference material because it really, you can just enlarge and really see the detail on your reference material. Jack always used to say, he said if he had God had created him as an animal, he said he probably would have been a rooster. And he had the attitude. He could have an attitude. If somebody crossed him or did me wrong, oh my goodness, he was protective. He was very, very protective. It was nice. Okay, now I'm going to come down to these are called wattles. Below his chin. And this one, flipping back and forth between different pictures here on my laptop. Because one has the lighting that I want to use. Okay, now that they have two wattles that hang down from below their beak. So this one is on that side, and then there's one hanging a little bit lower down. It's this one. And then gets a little bit of rim light from that. Comes off of his beak there. Then it's darker in here. Get this a little darkness. He's kind of turned his head back toward us. His body's going the other way, and then he's kind of looking back at us. Now his head the feathers on his head are kind of a rusty, burnt sienna color. This I've made with my mud plus cadmium orange. That's a little bit high there. So I'll come back with my dark. And I'm going to make the top of his head. You can see there's some little feathers there that kind of raise up. So I'm going to make the underside of this. And I'm going to make the back edge of his comb. He's kind of turned quickly, so I'm going to make the back edge of this comb softer. So it almost gives the feeling of motion. And it's going to have a little bit of the comb is very thin. So actually the light kind of transmutes through it. So this will be a little bit lighter back here. That light's kind of shining through. And he's got the red around his eye. color, different size brush here. And come around his eye with my little darker. Gets a little highlight here where the light's hitting his almost an eyebrow. Now his eye, I'm going to make with, this is my mud, which is 2 parts ultramarine blue, 1 part alizarin crimson. I just go ahead and make the dark of his eye in there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead, I had done the catch light in there, but I want to take that out now. That's mainly, I do that a lot as a reminder, just where I want it to be. A little smaller brush here. I keep my small brushes in a different container, isolate them from the bigger brushes so the tips don't get messed up. Let's see, before I put the catch light in, let me go ahead and put the iris. I'm using the same mixtures as the feathers there on his head. Now his eye's going to be kind of oval because he's turning toward us. So birds have a really big iris. And that's the colored part of the eye. The dark part is the pupil. Now I want to go ahead and do, he's got a little bit of a fold here. I want to make this a little more oval. Now, the catch light is up here. Put it at the junction of the iris and the pupil. You don't want your catch light in the middle of the pupil because your subject, your animal or person, will look drugged. So a lot of times, and that's exactly, a lot of times you look at a photograph and that's where the catch light is. And a lot of artists then will paint it as they see it in the photograph. But usually photographs, the eye is so reflective that the catch light is just light bouncing off from everywhere. Let me smooth this just a little bit. And I need to go back in and do my pupil. You have to work back and forth a lot of times. Now I want to make this a little bit lighter. Where the light comes through, it's up above, it hits the catch light there, and then you get a little highlight on the iris over on this side. I'm just having a hard time getting that. Let me get a different brush. Here we go. Let's try this one. I think I need a smaller brush. There we go. Now let's smooth out that darker color of the iris. Gets a little bit lighter on this side. And then we're going to get a little bit lighter right in here. I need that just a tiny bit lighter. I'm just going to brace my hand on the part of the canvas that's dry. There we go. And the eyes are the soul of the painting when you're doing a portrait. There you go. That's better. And he's got a little bit of a lid right here that I'm going to highlight. And then down here, it gets a little light. This is actually a little bright. Let me get some highlight down here. I can use a little bit bigger brush here. Now let's get this beak in here. And that's a little too brown. Want this, I'm mixing cadmium orange and ultramarine blue. Yeah, that's a little better. It goes more toward the bluer. Well, tip of his beak will be black. Let's and this is ivory black. Do this underneath part. Just made this, use that same mixture I used on the top, but I've added some mud into it. And his lower beak comes in front of that other wattle, and then this one here comes off of the edge of his beak here. And there's a highlight on the top of this beak right here. It gets a little bit lighter along here. And it gets a little darker underneath this, casts a little bit of a shadow. And there we've got the comb, the eye, and the beak on our rooster. Thank you for watching my YouTube videos. You can see the rest of the step-by-step process on this painting on my blog. The link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of my video. So you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you again.